The Ethiopian Bible says hell is not what the church has been teaching you. Not the burning fire, not the eternal torture, not the place where God sends billions of people to suffer forever without end. The oldest Christian Bible on earth, read without interruption for over 1,700 years by a church that predates Rome, that predates the Vatican, that was Christian before Europe knew what Christianity was, describes something completely different. And the Western Church, which built its entire theology of hell from a single translation made in the 4th century by one man named Jerome, never told you that. Today we're going to open the Ethiopian Bible and read what it actually says about the place of the dead, where it is, what happens there, and why what you were taught looks almost nothing like what the oldest surviving Christian scriptures describe. To understand why the Ethiopian Bible matters on this question, you first need to understand what it is and why it carries authority. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church is not a modern denomination. It is not a splinter group. It is not a church that formed in response to the Reformation or the colonial encounter with Christianity. It is one of the oldest continuously operating Christian institutions on earth. Its first bishop, Frumentius, was appointed in the 4th century by Athanasius of Alexandria, the same theologian who wrote the first known list of the 27 New Testament books used today. Its roots trace to the conversion of the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts chapter 8, making it potentially the first Gentile Christian community in history. And its Bible contains 81 books, 15 more than the Protestant Bible, and several more than the Catholic Bible. Those additional books include the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and several other texts that were read as scripture across the ancient Christian world before the Western Church excluded them, including texts that describe the afterlife in specific, detailed, and deeply disturbing ways. Disturbing not because they are more frightening than what Western Christianity teaches, but because they are so fundamentally different. Before we go to the Ethiopian texts, we need to be honest about where the Western concept of eternal hell actually came from. The word hell in most English Bibles translates three completely different Greek and Hebrew words: Sheol, Hades, and Gehenna. Sheol in the Hebrew Bible simply means the place of the dead, a shadowy underworld where all the deceased go, righteous and wicked alike. It is not a place of punishment. It is not a place of fire. It is the grave, extended, the pit, the realm of silence. Hades in the Greek New Testament carries much the same meaning, the realm of the dead, parallel to Sheol. It is not described as a place of eternal torture in the New Testament itself. Gehenna is the word Jesus uses for what we might call hell, and it comes from the Hebrew Gai Ben Hinnom, the valley of the son of Hinnom, an actual physical location outside Jerusalem where historically children had been sacrificed to the god Moloch and where Jerusalem's garbage was burned. Jesus used it as an image of judgment, a place of destruction and fire. These three words, with three different meanings, were all translated into the single English word, hell. That flattening happened in the Latin Vulgate translation made by Jerome in the 4th century, and the Western theological tradition built its entire architecture of eternal conscious torment on top of that translation decision. The Ethiopian Bible tradition, working from different source texts and maintaining different interpretive traditions, tells a different story. The Book of Enoch is canonical in the Ethiopian Bible. It has been read as authoritative scripture by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church for 17 centuries. And it is quoted directly in the New Testament, in the letter of Jude, word for word. The Book of Enoch contains one of the most detailed descriptions of the realm of the dead in any ancient text. And it looks almost nothing like the eternal burning hell of Western Christianity. In 1 Enoch, chapters 22 through 27, Enoch is taken on a cosmic journey by the angel Uriel. He is shown a great mountain in the west, hollow inside, where the spirits of the dead are gathered to wait for judgment. The location has 4 separate chambers. This is crucial. The first chamber holds the spirits of the righteous, with a bright spring of water. They rest there in light, waiting for their reward. The second chamber holds the spirits of the wicked who were not punished in their lifetimes. They are kept in darkness and pain, waiting for judgment. The third chamber holds the spirits of those who were murdered. They cry out, and their cry reaches to heaven. The fourth chamber holds those who did not walk with God but were not the most wicked. Their punishment is less severe, though they are also separated from the light. Notice what this is not. It is not eternal. It is not final. It is a waiting place, a holding area before the day of judgment, where different categories of the dead are kept in different conditions until God's court convenes and the final verdict is rendered. The fire, the darkness, the pain, these are real in the Ethiopian tradition, but they are pre-judgment, not post-judgment. They are temporary, not eternal. The most significant difference between the Ethiopian biblical tradition and Western Christianity is not whether there is punishment after death. Both affirm that there is. The difference is whether that punishment is eternal or whether it leads to final destruction. The Book of Enoch describes the judgment of the wicked not as their transfer to an eternal torture chamber, but as their destruction. They are thrown into the fire that burns forever. But what burns forever is the fire, not the people in it. The wicked are consumed. They cease. They are not perpetually tormented. They are ended. This position, which theologians call annihilationism or conditional immortality, was actually widely held in the early church. Irenaeus of Lyon, one of the most important theologians of the 2nd century, held it. Arnobius of Sicca held it. The early Antiochian church held it. It was not until the influence of Greek philosophy, specifically Plato's teaching on the immortality of the soul, entered Christian theology through figures like Origen and Augustine, that the idea of the soul's indestructibility became dominant. And once the soul is indestructible, you need somewhere for wicked souls to go forever. Hence, eternal conscious torment. The Ethiopian Bible tradition, rooted in Jewish and African theological soil rather than Platonic Greek philosophy, never made that turn. The wicked face real judgment, real fire, real destruction, but not eternal torture. The Ethiopian Bible's description of the destination of the righteous is equally striking, and equally different from what most Western Christians were taught. In the Book of Enoch and in the Ethiopian expansion of Genesis called the Book of Jubilees, paradise is not a disembodied spiritual realm somewhere above the clouds. It is a renewed earth. The righteous dead wait in the bright chamber of Sheol until the resurrection. At the resurrection, a bodily resurrection, not merely a spiritual one, they are brought back to life and inherit a transformed earth. The Garden of Eden, closed since the fall, is reopened. The tree of life, which grants immortality, is accessible again. And God's dwelling comes down to be among his people on the renewed creation. This is not fundamentally different from the New Testament's vision of the New Jerusalem descending from heaven in Revelation 21. But it is different from the popular Western vision of dying and going to a spiritual heaven to float in clouds forever. The Ethiopian tradition understands the afterlife as resurrection and earth, not escape from creation, but the redemption of it. The dead are not in heaven now enjoying eternal bliss. They are waiting, in the place of the dead, for the day when God restores all things. This is the question that matters. If the oldest Christian Bible on earth describes hell as a temporary waiting place and final destruction rather than eternal conscious torment, why don't you know this? The honest answer is a combination of translation, theology, and power. Translation. Jerome's 4th century Latin Vulgate flattened Sheol, Hades, and Gehenna into one word. That single translation decision shaped 1,000 years of Western theology. Once Augustine synthesized Christian doctrine with Platonic philosophy in the 5th century, the immortal soul requiring an eternal destination became dogma. To question eternal hell was to question Augustine, which was to question the Western theological tradition at its foundations. Power. The doctrine of eternal hell is one of the most effective control mechanisms in the history of religion. A God who destroys the wicked is terrifying. A God who tortures them forever while the righteous watch is something else entirely. It is a God whose justice is indistinguishable from cruelty. That image of God made people compliant in ways that a God of final destruction did not. The Ethiopian church, maintaining its own theological independence, developing in its own language, accountable to its own councils, never needed to make those compromises. It kept reading Enoch. It kept reading Jubilees. And it kept a picture of the afterlife that is older, more consistent with the Hebrew Bible, and, arguably, more consistent with what Jesus himself taught about destruction rather than eternal torment. The Ethiopian Bible says hell is not what the church taught you. It says the dead wait, the wicked face judgment, real consequence, real fire, and then they are destroyed, not preserved in agony forever. It says the righteous also wait, in light, in rest, for the day when God restores creation, opens Eden, and brings the dead back to life on a renewed earth. That is not a comfortable message for institutions that have used the threat of hell to control their congregations for centuries, which is exactly why most churches never open the Book of Enoch, never tell you about the four chambers, never explain that the oldest Christian Bible on earth describes something completely different from what you were taught. But now you know. If this kind of investigation into what the oldest Christian scriptures actually say, not what you were told they say, is the content you want more of, subscribe to Bible Radar. The truth has always been in the text. Someone just had to be willing to read it.